Today on the bench, I want to tie you up Dawn's Blue Dun Bomber Chironomid. Now, it's a big chironomid pattern as we're using today, and I find these colors are the best combination. Remember, big bombers have really defined thoraxes, really defined gills, quite large, and usually they have that red butt. So this has all the right ingredients. Make sure you have these materials ready before you tie the fly. For the hook, we'll use a 2x long curved size 8. We'll tie with some 8/0 Blue Dun thread. We'll use a 1/8 inch Togen's Brown Magic for the bead, some white Antron for the gills. For the body, we'll use some 8/0 Blue Dun thread, some 0.2 brown wire for the first rib, some 0.75 millimeter anti-static bag strip for the second rib, some 8/0 rust thread for the thorax, some Gulff Pink Attack UV resin for the wing buds, some 12/0 hot orange thread for the butt, and some UV resin to coat the fly. So to start the fly off, I put my brown bead with the wide diameter towards the eyelet because we're going to put on some gills right now. I'm going to start with my hot orange thread and just tie it in. It doesn't really matter on the thread when you're putting in the gills. Just take some white Antron, just take a couple of turns on that white Antron. Cut off your excess, and then whip finish and push your bead up. Now the gills are tied on. I'm going to take my hot orange thread and just tie it in behind the bead just to get some thread on the hook. Now the thread's on the hook. I've taken my wire, my brown wire, and my anti-static bag strip, and I'm just going to tie them in right behind the bead, and then just wrap down towards the butt and just keep the material on the side of the hook as you wrap to keep it thin. Once you get down near the bend of the hook, I'm going to take about 6 to 7 wraps behind just to form a small orange butt. I always like to have an orange butt on the fly. It's just a lot of chironomids, especially bombers when they're emerging, always have a little red on the back. So just tie in a small butt and then move your thread forward. Now to get ready for the body, we're just going to whip finish off our orange thread right behind the bead and take our Blue Dun thread and wrap it in. And sometimes you can use heavier Blue Dun thread so you don't have to take as many wraps on the body. But now we're just going to wind our Blue Dun thread right back to the tail and all the way up and form a nice body on the fly. And just make sure it's slightly tapered. Now that you have the body built with the Blue Dun thread, I'm going to whip finish this off, this thread, right again behind the bead. And we're going to tie in our brown thread so that we can wrap the body in the rib and start forming the thorax. So now we're going to wrap in our first rib, and that's the wire, because I always like to follow the anti-static bag up the wire after. So we're going to take our brown wire just off the back, and we're going to start wrapping forward. And usually you're going to form about 7 to 8 ribs up the fly. And then tie off the wire and just do a few little windmills to pull it off. Now the rib's tied in, I'm going to take my anti-static bag, and all we do is just follow the rib up with the anti-static bag, and that'll leave a small spacing in between the rib and your anti-static bag and show through on that nice Blue Dun thread. And just tie off behind the bead. Now we're going to form a rust-colored thorax on the fly, build it up so it's quite even with the bead, and whip finish it off there and cut off your thread. Now we're going to cut the gills to length. I just like to pull the gills over again over the bead and snip it right at behind the bead, and that forms really nice prominent gills on the fly. Now to put the finishing touches on the fly, I'm just going to take a bodkin, a small bodkin, and just take a dab of your pink Gulff. And just dab it on the fly just to form some nice wing buds. And again, keep it fairly small. Just dab it on and pull it up towards the bead on one side, starting, kind of underneath the fly a bit. And again on the other side, just start underneath and dab it and pull it up towards the bead. And that'll form two wing buds on the fly. And hit them with your light to cure them. Now to finish the fly off, I've taken some UV resin, some thin UV resin. Again, the Solaris is nice, Loon's good. Gulff makes a nice thin resin. And we're going to coat the body and then hit it with the light to finish it up. Make sure it's all nice and even all over the body. So there it is, Don's Blue Dun Bomber Chironomid. Now you want to make sure you have some bombers in your box because there are really nice bomber hatches from anywhere July, August, all the way through to September. And my three favorite colors that you have to have: a light olive or green olive color. You definitely need some browns, dark browns and light browns. And of course this color, the chromie and the blue dun. Must-haves for your fly box.